take 2 of my video showing off some of my buck knives. A collection of buck knives. Not my collection complete because I can't find my first buck knife. My very first. I know it's around here somewhere. And I take it as a reminder to keep control of my things. But I have had that knife out recently, and I'm sure I got it somewhere to hand. And it is a 112 that I purchased in Australia in 2006. Some few years later, the tip snapped off, and so I did refinish, and it has a kind of a rounded, sodbustery kind of a point on it. Even though it's still got quite a lot of clip, it also has a much more rounded kind of tip on it, which is good for spoon carving and stuff. It's interesting. So I wish I could show it, but you'll just have to imagine that. And then we can move on. So all of this is buck, and this is the dividing line between that and this rabble here, which is trying to crowd in and make another video, which is coming. Patience. So, I'm going to change the order this time. Let's start with this, and I'll get it out of the way, because it's a disgrace, really, at this point. But I have a local sports shop, and they sell knives, and the prices are really good. They'll match or even beat some of the online prices. So I guess maybe it's kind of like a loss leader for them. It's not where they are making their big money. So I bought quite a lot of knives there, and I picked this one up actually for when I had a knife display. So I didn't want it for myself per se. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it was for a possible sale. But the knife display venture, I closed that, and I ended up with a load of knives, which was cool. So yeah, I got to work on this one. And what I didn't really like about it, because I thought this blade had real potential as a whittler, but it cramps your hand all the way back here, having this massive finger guard. And finger guards are my enemy. They get in the way, they hang up, they ruin the lines, and they annoy me. And in many instances, I will simply remove them, because I think it's better. And so that was one thing that I determined to do with this. Now, later, actually, I tried for comparative study to whittle with one of these instead of one of those. And I realized that this, because I thinned it down there, I removed the whole finger guard, right? And I brought the bevel back a little bit and everything. Shaved it off and yeah, like totally convexed it out. So it's had half the mass removed here, and probably 2/3 of the mass removed from the tang, because instead of it being this quote-unquote full tang, because it is skeletonized, but I also put this taper tang on it, half taper tang, right? Just playing around, really. And then I got impatient at that stage of having the blade kind of complete, and I slapped this handle on with some mountain laurel that doesn't look like much. And I mean, they might have been like kebab sticks for pins or whatever I whittled. Something, and it was good. The performance on the blade when you sharpen, now it's dull. I can feel it's dull. So I must have used it for something stressful. Yeah, down there it's sharp. I mean, what am I going to prove by? Yeah, no, not with that. Do I have a piece of paper? No, it's not even sharp. So that's the thing. I was saying, like, oh, I get rock-steady performance out of this thing. But yeah, you do for like 15 cuts. And then you have to, so, well, let's see now. Let's just test this. Grab a quick whatever. Where's my good stone? I'm messing this up the second time around as well. Somewhere is a good sharpening stone, but we'll just use this one. It's a crap one, but it's 1,000 grit. So yeah, that's the thing on this 420 HC. Not very good edge retention, but it takes an edge. So if I'm doing what I'm doing now correctly, we should get a good result. Well, I'll be... No, that is mashed. I have to start this whole video again. This is rubbish. What the hell? Oh, I took the whole bevel off. I would have to sharpen on this for a while. I forgot about it. I took the whole bevel off, like this. I did that recently. I wanted to get to fresh metal, and that's as far as I got. I'm sorry. I'm going to leave this up as a testament to my idiocy. The show must go on, right? So, nice little whittler. Guess it's an interesting tactical knife. $20 it was going for. They're discontinued now, so I bought a few of them actually because I wanted to do more experimentation like that. But that's out of the way now. Now in the same store, I bought this Buck Pursuit. Prior to that, I bought the one in 420, and I did a little rebuild on that, and I liked how that went, and it sat down there. So we'll get to that, but this is a Buck Pursuit in original condition, and this is the one in S35VN with the Bose heat treatment. I haven't used it much, but I have used it a little bit. I'll take it out if it's raining, for example. I'll grab a knife like this, but I have a few, you know, the synthetic handles and stuff. The sheaths on this Maverick and this Pursuit are this kind of thing. Pretty chintzy. Right, I'm going to leave this one for last. The Buck Treasury. No, I'm going to leave that one for second last. So this was one day on my phone, I swiped left instead of right. Could that be it? And so I got the news, right? And the news is, buy this thing. And what was the headline when I swiped? Buck, blah, 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 limited edition anniversario. Well, I saw the photo and I clicked, right? And I clicked and I clicked and I clicked. And it came in the mail. And I'm pleased. I am very pleased to own a Buck 110. I did not own one. I had the Buck 112 as described earlier. But now I have a 110. And of all the 110s, this might be the one I go for because I believe that these Buck folders, to my tastes, suffer from an excess of weight. And so this is the lighter option, being as it's carbon fiber and bare butt. And actually, it's also heavy like a brick. But, you know, at least you get the notion that you're carrying the lightweight one, right? So, Groman made a folding knife that has some semblance to the Buck 110. And they came up with their design before Buck came out with their 110. And I learned this because I saw a video recently about the Groman folding knife. And this was, as was explained to me by said video, so that Groman came out with their kind of equivalent actually before Buck came out with the 110. And the blade on that Groman was quite similar to this, which is rather dissimilar to the characteristic clip point, you know, Buck blade. Very much a drop point with this long nail pull on it. And aside from that, yeah, the grind is pretty classic. And I like it. It's a nice knife. I find it works very well for scraping because of it's very good hard steel and very sort of easy to get a nice thin apex on it, even though it's still fairly thick behind the edge. But I think that Buck, they tend to leave their hollow grinds, they're not offenders exactly, but they leave them robust, This is very nice and thin down here, and then it thickens out there. So that suggests to me conscious intervention, to make the knife tougher, whilst retaining optimal sliciness down here for when you're whittling your pointy sticks. The Iceman cometh. My battle-worn Iceman. Some modification, again with the finger guard. This was all the way out here, as I recall. And, so it kind of got in the way thing, so I just ground it all off in one, and that left it looking pretty ugly, so then I just uglified the whole thing. I threw it on the floor and kicked it around and hit it with things and whatever. Kind of somewhat subsequent to, or in tandem with really doing this, I removed the serrations and just kept the final tooth there. So you got this kind of trapping little mini hawkbill tooth thing going on there. I like a tooth on a blade from time to time. And yeah, it's a bit more of a beater knife, obviously. Awesome action. Really easy to flick open. Super easy. Well, with the thumb. Not getting that, but I haven't oiled it in a while. So yeah, you can flick it, but you got to put a bit of wrist in there. But with the thumb stud, thumb only. Bang, every time. Let me try a little gentle one there. Yeah, see. So, as opposed to the US-made Spitfire, which I'm pretty sure they brought out a while after this one, and that's now discontinued, I think. Chinese. Like a $15 knife or something, this one. I peeled off the rubber off the other side, and I have it somewhere to trace around it if I want to put something in there. I saw a video from the Knife Doctor recommending the Buck Spitfire. He was wild about it. I said, great, I'll get me one. They got them at the Tractor Supply. So I picked one up, and I might have put a cable tie here or something first, and then I started playing around with the magnet, and I found that I could put the magnet there, and it would hold on pretty well, but obviously, sooner or later it's going to maybe not go flying, but pop around, and because the idea is to use it for this deployment. So with this hole, it was very difficult, even with all the arm. Forget thumb, forget wrist, like using your whole arm, even so, it was a challenge. You really have to kind of roll it open, and then. But with this little modification here, it is possible to get a speedier deployment. But it is but ugly. And to start out with the super glue and baking soda, which is very hard, I will comment. So, I mean, it's an interesting compound. You can see the magnet there. Oh, there we go. It's failing now, finally. Oh, excellent. Got that on camera. Because I went out and did a chopping test with this one, and I, chopped some lilac, like the thickness of my thumb, using the knife with the magnet on there. But yeah, the adhesive degraded. Anyway, that was fun. So there we go. Doesn't that look better now? It looks a lot better. Now let me see if I can. Should have loosened up by now. Maybe I don't need the magnet anymore. There we go. All right, so there you go. If your thing's a little tight and you want to be able to flick it open 100, 200 times, get it loosened up. It's still a little harder, but there we go. Stick a magnet in there with some super glue and baking soda, and when you get bored of it, you tap it off with your screwdriver or your Rough Rider auxiliary, which comes in handy for a myriad of things. What fun. Yes, anyway, so where are we? 2 to go. So this is the second Buck Treasury. Oh, I haven't been saying the numbers. The Pursuit 658. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, the Pursuit 658 with an extra little symbol, presumably, because I'm guessing this must be a 658 as well. It's a Pursuit, just the steel's different. Oh yes, right. The Maverick 877. The Iceman 864. We did name the 110, of course. Got that one. Just try this again. The Spitfire. Oh yeah, so I sent the knife doctor where I tagged him in a video. Hey, doctor, there's a magnet in my butthole. He never got back to me. 722. Okay. Oh, my little cloth. There's so little of this blade. It's a fingerprint's worth of blade. The 527. The Treasury. I got one of these in a thrift store, a different one. It was dark, kind of ebony colored, or something maybe dark brown or black almost, the wood. And was not in quite such good condition, but I had cleaned it and oiled it a little bit, maybe sharpened on it a bit. And I had it in a shoebox with a load of other little folding knives. And my cousin came around, and while I was out running errands, he discovered the shoebox. And he had a look at all the little old knives in there, varying quality and condition. And he really liked this one, the Treasury. I didn't know it was called the Treasury. I just knew it was 5. Well, I didn't even know that because I don't have a head for these numbers, but 527. And he liked it, so I said, well, you must have it. I got a lot of knives, so if he liked that one, he's my cousin, he should take it. Maybe give me a coin. And then I said, well, if you like knives, if you're interested in knives, you should have a look at this knife I made. And I'd made a kind of a pucco style knife using some cherry burl that my neighbor gave me, and a Stanley USA chisel from the 80s. I knocked together this knife, and in the end, I sold him that knife for a pretty good price. I mean, it was a pretty good price for both of us, I think, for what it was. It was a nice little knife. I really liked it, but because he liked it, I thought he should buy it from me, because I want to be a knife maker and sell knives. It's my dream. So, there we go. I hit him up, and he acceded, and we did business. And I missed that knife when it was gone. And so to compensate, I took this buck Pursuit that I had before this one, the one in 420 HC, and I went for a similar kind of thing. But the other knife did not have this bird's beak. The thing is that the piece of cherry burl that I took to whittle on kind of had this in the shape of it. So I just kept it as much as I could. And I like it, actually. It's turned out quite ergonomic. One thing, a bird's beak, if it's thick this way, it's uncomfortable, I find. You have to it has to curve in this way. Depending on your hand position, your grip, and what have you, obviously. But anyway, I like that about it. It gives you a good grip for pulling it from the sheath, and a good grip, 2-finger grip for flick cuts. And the blade, yeah, you pretty much already seen the blade, but I did make some minor. Well, for one thing, it's sharpened in a bit. I recall I also took the jimping off the back there and just slimmed it down a little ways. And I worked on the bevels a little bit. Not too much though. The factory edge on these things is good. And it's not like this kind of diggy in hollow grind. It's kind of chunky. It almost feels more like a Scandi, strangely, to me, to whittle with it. And I think that's because this bevel is kind of thick enough, and they get it good and flat, So it's not super thin behind the edge. That's my point, right? It's the hollow grind is so that you can serve the same kind of bevel as you sharpen into the knife without having to grind a lot of material off behind, you know. And actually, in the booklet for this knife, they told you do not grind on the shoulders, right? Which I, you know, do not grind on the shoulders, right? Check out what I did on this thing. No shoulders, you know, unless you're talking these angles here. Anyway, castrum sheath. I was on the lookout for something that might fit this, and indeed this could fit other knives that I have, but it's a great fit for this knife, actually. I'm quite pleased with that. So, shortly, I believe I shall be making another video about blade profiles and blade pedantry, things that are very dear to my heart. And yeah, this rabble here will be cut loose. But for now, it's adios from me and my curtailed and incomplete collection of buck knives. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you around.